Good, beautiful morning, everybody. Silas back again today, and I had a really cool idea last night for a video, and I thought, you know what, that's what we're gonna do today. I was thinking to myself, what would everything out here be worth if I just came out and I just crushed it all? Now don't worry, there's no plans of crushing it all. It was just an idea I had, and so I thought I'd come out here, we'll go around, figure it up, and we'll find out exactly what it would be worth. Now, to figure this up, there's several variables. Number one variable is not everything out here belongs to me. A lot of the vehicles out here belong to my dad, especially all the newer stuff that's stacked up in piles. Then there's also the factor of I could always cut the noses off of the vehicles before I crush them for a little bit of extra money. Then there's the radiators that are in the vehicles, so there's lots of variables. So I'm going to figure it up several different ways. I'm going to figure up the total value of everything out here just to flat crush it, and then I'm going to figure up the more detailed value of everything out here if I were to grab the few easy things off of it. However, before I can do any of that, I've got this yellow International back here behind me. I've got to get wheels and tires on that because they're coming to pick that up. They weren't supposed to be here until next week, but they're actually on their way right now. They're going to be here in about an hour. So I've got to get rollers put on that. That's what we're going to do first. Hey guys, real quick before we continue this video, I have something super exciting I want to talk to you about. As many of you guys know, I have been a Shady Rays fan for years. In fact, if you go back to my earliest videos I ever posted, I was wearing Shady Rays, and before I ever started a YouTube channel, I was wearing Shady Rays. And so check this out right here. Fresh from the mailbox, we've got 3 brand new pairs. I know this pair here is a little bit funky looking, but that's okay because sometimes I'm in a funky mood and these will fit that mood just perfect. Now these are not mine. These are actually for my wife. But I'm making a video, so I'm going to put them on anyway. What do you guys think? Now this pair here, this is probably my new favorite pair. Now I know this is a sponsored video, but for real guys, these are my favorite sunglasses. I have worn these things for years. Shady Rays makes great quality glasses. They're super affordable. And probably my favorite thing about them is the fact that they have a hassle-free replacement policy. Lose a pair crawling through the window of an old car? No big deal. Forget they're on your head and scratch them? No big deal. Run over your glasses with a 30,000 pound loader? No big deal. All you gotta do is hop on their website, fill out a few things, get a brand new pair in the mail. Plus, if you order a pair of glasses like these and you decide, you know what, those just aren't for me, if you exchange them within 30 days, it's free. So if you're ready to get your new favorite pair of glasses, right now I've got good news for you. When you buy one pair, you can get another pair for free. All you gotta do is go to shadyrays.com/scratch and use the code SCRATCH at checkout, and you can have 2 new pairs of glasses headed to your door. Check them out, you guys are going to love them. Thanks again to Shady Rays for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the action. Okay, that truck is loaded up, headed to its new home. I think I am pretty much done. Somebody drove out here, and the other scrapyard's closed on Saturdays, and they had a truck on their trailer, and they said, hey, will you buy this? So I went ahead and bought that, and then I have one more guy on the way with an old truck, and I'm not sure when he's going to get here. But other than that, I don't believe anybody else is coming, so now we can finally go around in the yard and take a inventory, I guess, if you will. What I'm going to do to keep my hands free is I'm just going to put the GoPro on my hat here, and that way I can just wear it on my head, that way you guys can see what I see, and then I'm going to keep an inventory in my little handy dandy super note right here. Super handy little deal, and I can put my dad's, I can put the small vehicles, and then I can put the big vehicles like the big farm trucks and whatnot. So, and I also, there's tractors and things like that, so I might make a few little subcategories down here, and I'm just going to tally. I'm not going to write down each vehicle, obviously, because that would take forever. So that being said, let's get started. Okay, there we go. I guess we're ready to go. We'll just start right here, kind of walk through the whole yard. We got these 2 big trucks right here. We got one big truck in this box here, and like the big truck, I'm just going to mark it big. This here, there's no truck attached to it or nothing like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark it as small. And so that's just kind of an example. Like this truck over here, I'm going to mark it as big. And then I've got like this cab here. I've got a bunch of loose iron that I'm not going to count, so I'll just go ahead and count the cab as a small. Like for example, I've got all these engines and this motorcycle, all this stuff laying around here. So all that stuff, I'm just not even going to count it, and that's what helps make stuff like this, it's just a partial into a whole. I've got some stuff that's actually already sold, like this Ford right here. That is sold, that camper is sold, and I believe the orange truck is sold, the brown truck is sold, and ones like that, actually just the cabs are sold off of those, so those don't really matter. But like this truck here, the whole truck is sold already. I'm going to go ahead and count it, because in a worst case scenario, if I was crushing everything, something like this here, I would just send the guy his money back and be like, sorry, you should have got it sooner, and then go ahead and crush it. Like I say, that's worst case scenario. We're talking like crazy situation right now. It's going to be kind of hard to keep track, because like I've got all this over here and this over here, so which way do I go? And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm not going to count any of this over here yet. I'll just ignore all that, and I'll just do this side here and walk around, do the pile, and just kind of do this side of the road first, and then come back and then do the middle section later. So that way I can try to kind of somewhat keep it organized. I've got all these compressors, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count these as smalls, except for I think I have 3 great big ones back there. I'll count those as bigs. I know they're technically not cars, but they weigh about the same as a car, and they've all got big copper radiators in them, so they'll go ahead and go as cars. And then we have these big school buses. There's not very many of those, and all of the school buses are actually my dad's, except for the one that I claimed for myself. A school bus that size there weighs about the same as 3 cars. So what I'll do is I'll just mark 3 on my dad's. Now this pile here, I'm going to try to climb up on the pile and try to get an estimate of what's here. I really don't know exactly how many cars are here. There's quite a few. I counted them when I put them in here, but that's been a while back, and so now I don't actually remember. Some of them are stacked 2 high, some of them are stacked 3 high. There's a few of them are only stacked 1 high, so I'll just kind of do the best that I can. Yeah, some of these, like this one here, I've got it stacked 4 high. Huh. Yeah, we got this big pile of junk here. Once again, I'm not going to count anything out of this pile, because that makes up for these cars. Some of these cars are pretty small, some of them don't have motors in them, so it'll all even out that way. I think there's actually more cars here than what I thought there was. There's quite a few in here, really. A lot of these cars, like this Mustang right here, it's going to be pretty heavy. A lot of these cars in here are stuffed full of junk. But yeah, it just keeps going and going and going. You can see there, most of these are my dad's. His list was all the way up here, and now it's way down here. Okay, so in this pile of cars right here, there are over 140 cars in this pile. So that's pretty good. I was thinking around 100 cars. Back when I first bought this place, this area here was my farm truck area, and I think I had 3 or 4 farm trucks in here, and that's all I had. And I kind of had them in this area. And actually, I think a couple of these, like this one here, was one of the original farm trucks that I put in here. It looks like the rest of them are gone now, but yeah, this is my farm truck area. This is all wide open here, and so you could back right up in here and roll them off the trailer. A lot different now. It's crazy how things change in just a couple years. Now we're creeping back up here into these cars. There's a handful of big ones, or these are mostly big ones from here on. There's only a handful of small ones, but there are some scattered around in here, so we'll weave our way through. These cars back here are some of the original cars that were on the property when I bought it. My dad came out here and bought these cars. You guys have heard the story before of how he came out here and bought all the junk cars, and then I bought the property afterwards. But we haven't touched these. There's a couple cool ones in here. Like this one here is pretty rough, but it is a four-wheel drive square body with a good chassis. And then there's a Chevy van over here back here that's got a chrome grille in it that's pretty neat. So I'll definitely pull those off. But like I say, today we're figuring worst case scenario, crush it all. This semi here, I'm just going to count it as 3 cars, semi trailer I should say. I'm just going to count it as 3 cars. It's probably weight wise more than that, but it does have a lot of wood in it, but it also has a lot of aluminum in it. So I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to count it as 3 cars. That's more than fair. I'd rather have a low estimate than a high estimate. I'm slowly but surely creeping further and further back here. I stuck a few of them back here this morning. That big Lodestar and that cab over Ford. This International I put back here the other day. Both of these cabs were sold already. I got to get the cabs popped off of them. But yeah, I'm slowly but surely running out of room. If I can come up with the money, I really want to get something to take all these trees out. I mean, I could do it with what I have now, but that would take forever wrapping a chain around each one of those and plucking it out. So I'd rather get like a brush hog or something like that to where I can just come in here, mow them all down, keep them mowed down throughout the year, and then by next year they won't grow back again and I can put trucks in here. Then I want to bring the excavator back here and take out the big trees. Even that tree there, I just want it gone. These locust trees are just a nightmare with these big thorns on them. Another thing I kind of want to do is I want to make a road through here that circles all the way around and comes back up that way. That way I have a big loop. That way I don't have to turn around right here anymore. I can actually just circle the whole loop. What I'm going to do on these tractors is I'm just going to go ahead and most of these I'm just going to count as 1. And most of these belong to my dad. There's one with the arms down there belongs to me and a couple others. But I'm just going to tally these up on my dad's side. I think that'll be the simplest. Some of these, like this big case here, I'll probably count that one as 2. Just because it's so big and heavy. And there's a couple others that are like that weigh as much as 2 cars do. And then a lot of these Studebakers and a few of these other cars in here all belong to my dad as well. And then I have some cars back there that are mine. Well, we were making pretty good progress. I got everything counted up to right there. Got all of this taken care of. Everything's counted. I was going to count these rows right here and then kind of work my way through the middle. And there's a bunch more up there. But a guy just called and he's hauling an old Studebaker truck to me and he needs help. He's kind of stuck. It had big winch poles on it and he can't get those winch poles down and it's too tall to come into town. So I've got to grab my tools and run out there real quick. So we will continue this in a little bit. Okay, so I was just blocked the gate. I was pulling out and they called and there was actually a farmer out there that had a saw. And so he cut those poles down for him. So I don't have to go out there. So now I guess I can open the gate back up and I can go out back. I'm not going to go clear out back this time though, because he will be here probably in about 10 minutes now. So, oh well. I've got bunches of other stuff laying around too. Like here's a great big pile of electric motors. Here's a couple barrels of copper wire. And I mean, there's not a ton of money there, but there is a little bit of money there. And I'm not counting that in today's video. There is value to that, like I say, but I don't know. I'm just counting cars for today, and I'll kind of do a rough estimate of that stuff at the end. He's not here yet, so I'm going to go ahead and walk this area right here in front of me and count what's in here. This is kind of a mix of junk cars and old cars, and just kind of as it came in, it got stashed here. Okay, now I'm back over to this pile here. I've got everything counted everywhere. I went ahead and went out back and counted those as well. So all I have left now is basically from here all the way up to the front, straight up to the building up there. So I got to go through here, and this pile here, once again, I'm going to have to try to get as accurate as I can, but it's going to be hard to be 100% accurate. So we'll see what we come up with. According to my estimate, there's about 60 cars right here in this pile, just in this pile of cars right here. That's not counting all of these back here. There's a bunch more junk ones all through this area as well. I'm actually starting to run out of room on my dad's side over here. He's got quite a few cars in here. Okay, we got that taken care of. Now let's get back to counting cars. Like I say, all I have left is this area right here. Once again, not so much these cars here, but like all these Durangos and some of that stuff that's back there further, those are some more vehicles that were left over from when my dad bought all the junk cars out here. When I first bought this place, I came in here late that year, and I bought this place in October, and I think that November, or maybe it was December, I came in here, and this whole area out here had cars lined up in it, and I crushed almost all of them. I got rid of most of them. There was just a few back here that I didn't get shipped out in time before prices dropped, and so I didn't finish them. So there were about, I would say, probably 50 cars left over. So out of however many cars we get today, subtract 50, and that's how many have been added in the last 2.5 years. And then also remember that I have crushed this place out several times since then again of other cars that came in. So total number of cars that have come and gone through this place is going to be a lot higher than whatever is actually still here today. There will be quite a bit of room in this area here once I get these cleared out of here. I'll come in here and kind of trim some of these trees up, get some of these big overhanging limbs off of here, just clean this up back here, and I can get quite a few more vehicles in this area. That'll be pretty nice. And we are going to bring the crusher in here and crush a bunch of stuff out. It's probably going to be either late spring or early summer, and if prices drop, I'm going to come in here and crush anyway, and I'll just stack it. If prices don't drop, then we'll go ahead and crush it and ship it. So we'll just see how it goes then. Okay then, got it all figured up. Got a lot of counting to do right now, so I'm going to tally all of this up and we'll kind of see what it comes out to. On cars, usually they're going to average around 3,500 pounds a piece when you have a mix of cars and trucks that are pretty well complete. If you're crushing straight cars that may or be missing parts or may not be missing engines, things like that, you're going to get back down to around 3,000 pounds. But I think we can average 3,500 pounds and be pretty safe. On the big trucks, I'm going to do 7,500 pounds a piece, just because a lot of those weigh more like 9,000 or 10,000 pounds. Some of them are going to weigh more like 6,000 pounds. So we'll just kind of average it out in the middle at 7,500. Okay, I got it all figured up now. And my dad had 585 cars. I had 190. Well, I got to back up real quick. Remember that 585, that's not actually that many vehicles out here, but like those school buses, I counted those as 3 cars, things like that. So basically he has the equivalent of 585 cars out here, which comes out to about 1,024 tons. I have about 195 small vehicles, which is 341 tons, and I have 55 big vehicles, which is about 206 tons. That puts me at a total of about 547 tons. And if I figure that up at today's prices, roughly today's prices, they kind of fluctuate. I don't know exactly what they are. It is a new month now. But my dad, that puts him at about $307,000. It puts me at about $164,000. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but you got to remember, I have invested a ton of money into this stuff. I pretty much live on whatever I make off of YouTube videos, and every other penny I make gets rolled into buying more junk. And then another factor to figure in is that there's no possible way we could crush this entire place out in a month. And so prices may change, and if they drop, I think they're going to drop sometime soon, and if they do drop, they may drop up to $100 all at once with no warning, so that'll make a big difference as well. And they may not, I don't know, we'll see what happens. We're not actually going to crush everything out here anyway. Now, I did figure there's about 300 of my dad's cars that are total just crushers. There's 140 in the one pile, 60 in the other pile, and then there's about another 100 or so scattered around through the trees. And maybe more than that, maybe more like 350 cars that need to be crushed. Also, a couple other things I figured up is I figured there's about $35,000 worth of miscellaneous stuff, like aluminum breakage. I've got several big piles of aluminum motors and breakage, things like that. Then also there's a bunch of electric motors. I got a bunch of batteries out here. There are a few converters left, not very many. There's some of these cars have exhaust manifold converters on the engine still, but those will add up fairly quickly. So all that stuff, plus some of the copper radiators that are in like those compressors and some of the big trucks, I figured all of that is going to come out to about $35,000. And then also I figured up here that $33,000, I figured about 2/3 of my vehicles have noses on them still, and actually some of my dad's do too. I didn't even figure his, because some of the old cars out here are his as well. But I figured if 2/3 of them, that's 165 vehicles. If I sold the noses for $200 a piece, which is super cheap, they would sell very quickly at that price. And so I figured if I did that, that comes out to another $33,000. But now that I think about it, probably 200 or so at least of my dad's have noses as well. So that would be another $40,000 or so. So there's a chunk of money there. So there's a lot of money, but honestly, to do all of this, to cut the noses, to sell everything, crush everything, the whole 9 yards, to make this an empty field, would probably take every bit. If all you did was that 6 days a week, it would still take at least 3 months. Now, if you just came in here and crushed everything, you could probably get it done in a month and a half. But realistically speaking, with everything else that's going on, like, you're still going to have people bringing you more junk, things like that, and you got to clean the ground up, pick all the small stuff up. You're actually looking at more like a 6-month time frame. And if you did just take 4, 5, 6 months, however many months, and crush it all, make all that money, well, in that meantime that you haven't been buying anymore, then everybody has gone to other people, and then you have nothing left to do after that. And I'm way too young to retire, so definitely not going to do that. It's always tempting when you see these big numbers to think, oh boy, I could make a lot of money pretty quick, but then what do you do after that? So realistically, I would never actually just eliminate everything unless like there was a health condition or something like that. I know my hair is crazy, but the camera is attached to my hat, so I'm having to hold my hat in front of me. But yeah, like I say, if there was a health condition or if there was a financial situation, or if there's a number of situations that could pop up that would cause me to want to crush everything like that all at once. But Lord willing, none of those are going to happen, and it's going to keep on rolling on. Then also, if you figure a lot of these vehicles are worth more than crush value, I wouldn't crush a lot of them. Like this crew cab I'm ended up against here, crush value on this truck here, I think I figured this is a big truck, like I said, so what does that come out to? A little over $1,000. This truck's worth way more than that. I just gotta, if I was to sell it, I would have to take the time to find the right buyer, put tires on the whole 9 yards. So I mean, if I didn't buy anything else and I actually tried to maximize my money out of this, I could make it last for probably 3, maybe 4 years and live off of that income, and then after that crush everything that was left. So there's about 30 million ways you can look at it, but just for the sake of this, I wanted to figure out what in the world this place would be worth if I just came in here and crushed it all out and just was done with it 100%. And the answer to that is $470,000 roughly. That's my dad's cars, my cars, everything. And that's not saving nothing. That's not pulling nothing off of them. That's not counting copper radiators. That's not counting noses, nothing. That's just pure come in here and smash it all, throw it all in the box. A totally unrealistic scenario, but just for fun. I was really hoping it was going to be a little over 500,000, but we didn't quite make it. I say that, but I have, I think, 5 more trucks coming next week, old trucks coming in, so that'll bump it up a little bit higher, but it still wouldn't quite get us there. So anyway, I know this was a different video than what I normally do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Our subscriber count is creeping closer and closer and closer to that 100,000, or as of filming this, we're getting pretty close to 67,000. If we could hit 100,000 this year, that would be totally awesome. When I started this channel a little over 2 years ago, my goal for the first year was to hit 1,000 subs, and my goal for the second year was to hit 10,000 subs. Well, we ended the second year with I think almost 60,000 subs. So I kind of, in the first year, we ended the year with about 30,000. So completely blew those goals out of the water. So I'm really hoping we can hit 100,000 this year. That's a pretty ambitious goal. So if you could please help me to reach that, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to fly the drone around a little bit more. So as always, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And remember to get out there and find an adventure. We'll see you on the next one.